Last week, before the Transportation Infrastructures Committee on Pipeline Safety, I called the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, known as PHMSA, a toothless tiger that has overdosed on Quaaludes and is passed out on the job. Today, I stand before you to say I was wrong. I was wrong to call PHMSA a toothless tiger. PHMSA is actually a toothless kitten, a fluffy industry pet that frightens absolutely no one. This has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt by yesterday's excellent Politico investigation of PHMSA's ineffectual can't-do attitude, written by Elena Shore and Andrew Rusticchia. Allow me to highlight some of the shocking incompetence brought to light by this article. All rules made by PHMSA undergo peer review by two advisory committees, one on oil and one on gas. In theory, the committee is made up of 5 members, each from industry, government, and public. Sounds good, right? Well, that might be true, except the committee's current rosters are missing 7 members on the government and public sides. This means the industry is calling the shots and voting for their own initiatives. On these committees, there's almost no formal resistance to doing the industry's bidding. That's what Deborah Hersman, former head of the National Transportation Safety Board, meant when she said, quote, "For the regulator to delegate too much authority to the regulated to assess their own system risks and correct them is tantamount to the fox guarding the henhouse." As we've seen in my district and in so many others, the fox has very little incentive to prevent oil or gas from spoiling the henhouse or to prevent the hens from blowing up. Of course, everyone is very sorry about the fact, but the will to prevent these accidents in the first place is simply not there. That's what happened in Mayflower, Arkansas in 2013, when PHMSA let ExxonMobil operate an oil pipeline that was known to be faulty for 7 years, and then it blew up. Nowhere is this more obvious than PHMSA's pitiful fines. Fines are supposed to be a deterrent, and yet the fines that PHMSA levies are so pathetic compared to the cost of pipeline leaks and explosions that they can't even be seen on this graph. Here you see that over the last 12 years, PHMSA has issued just $44.2 million in fines for incidents that cost over $5 billion. Look at these tiny red lines. You can't even see them. You can see these other graph points that show how much damage was actually done, but the fines are next to nothing. Take the Mayflower, Arkansas example, where dumping 200,000 gallons of heavy crude into a neighborhood cost ExxonMobil $2.7 million, or 0.008% of that year's profits. To industry, this measly fine is just the cost of doing business. No need to fix a pipeline. Fines are so small, it's cheaper to just pay them. But of course, damage from pipeline leaks and explosions can't be reduced to just gray bars. In my district, the city of San Bruno, where 8 people were killed by pipeline explosion in 2010, the public remains traumatized by the idea that their entire neighborhood could be wiped out by one carelessly inspected or uninspected pipeline. Life has risks, but one of them shouldn't be coming home to find your husband and son and mother-in-law dead and your house obliterated, as happened to one of the families in my district. That's why I find PHMSA's utter failure to implement more rigorous safety regulations so disgusting. PHMSA's reasoning that such regulations are, quote, too costly for the pipeline industry compared with the expected benefits, unquote, is the reasoning of movie villains, not well-intentioned safety professionals who are supposed to be taking care of the public interest. Whose side is PHMSA on? Now, one could argue that the low penalties are Congress's fault, not PHMSA's. After all, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has power to impose civil penalties of $1 million per day. Compare that to PHMSA's relatively paltry $200,000 a day. But that doesn't explain PHMSA's failure to even start civil penalty cases. Even as pipeline incidents increased, PHMSA started fewer civil penalty cases in 2014 than in the past 10 years and proposed 73% fewer fines. For the few fines that are proposed, PHMSA does that behind closed doors where the public is not welcome. ExxonMobil dumped 63,000 gallons of oil into Yellowstone River in 2011, but managed to argue that the original $1.7 million fine should be put down to $1 million. Why did PHMSA allow this? Nobody knows. I yield back.